The mining colony on planet Carthos 9 was always cold. The wind never stopped blowing. It moved across the metal buildings like a ghost. At night, the sky turned dark purple, and strange stars flickered above the rocky land. Daniel Reyes worked the late shift. He was a simple human engineer. His job was to repair broken machines and check the oxygen systems. Most people hated the night shift, but Daniel liked it. It was quiet, peaceful, or at least, it used to be. 3 nights ago, something changed. A small animal was found near the cargo docks. It was dead. No wounds. No blood. The next night, a security drone stopped working near the outer fence. When they found it, the metal was bent, like someone had crushed it with bare hands. The workers started whispering, "Something is out there. Maybe pirates, maybe worse." Daniel did not believe in ghost stories. He believed in logic. Machines break. Animals die. But tonight felt different. The air was too still. He was finishing repairs near an old, crashed cargo ship outside the colony walls. The ship had been abandoned years ago. No one liked going near it. Too dark. Too quiet. Daniel packed his tools and turned to leave. Then he heard it. A soft sound. Not wind. Not metal. A whisper. He froze. The sound came again. Weak. Broken. Like someone trying to speak after crying for a long time. Daniel slowly walked toward the sound. "Hello?" he called. No answer. He stepped around the broken wing of the cargo ship. That was when he saw her. At first, he thought she was dead. A pale figure lay against the cold metal wall. Her skin looked almost white under the moonlight. Long silver hair covered her face. She was not human. Her ears were slightly pointed. Strange dark markings ran across her arms. And when she slowly lifted her head, her eyes glowed red. Daniel's heart began to beat faster. She looked young. Maybe the same age as him, but her body looked weak. Very weak. Her lips were cracked. Her breathing was slow. She tried to move but failed. Then she looked directly at him. Her eyes locked onto his neck. Her mouth opened slightly. He saw them. Sharp fangs. Small. Not normal. Real fangs. Yo stepped back. Every warning he had ever heard about alien predators flashed in his mind. Void vampires. That was the name. A rare species. Feared across space. Creatures who drank blood. He should run. He should call security. He should leave. But she did not move like a monster. She did not attack. She looked desperate. Her voice came out like dry air. "Please." Daniel swallowed. She lifted her shaking hand toward him. The word was barely a whisper. She tried to crawl toward him, but her body collapsed. She was dying. Daniel's mind raced. If she was truly a void vampire, she could kill him in seconds. If she was strong enough, but she was not strong. She was barely alive. Her red eyes were not angry. They were afraid. Daniel slowly knelt down, a few feet away from her. "Are you alone?" he asked softly. She did not answer. She only looked at his neck again, her fangs slightly visible. Her breathing became faster. Like an animal fighting its last battle. Daniel's heart pounded in his ears. He thought about the colony. About the fear, about the dead animal. Maybe that was her. Maybe she had tried to survive. Maybe she had been hiding for days. He noticed something else. There were no fresh bodies around. No human victims. If she had wanted to attack people, she could have tried. But she did not. She had stayed hidden. Starving. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. Then he made a decision that would change everything. Slowly, very slowly. He removed the collar of his jacket. The cold air touched his skin. He exposed his neck. The alien girl's eyes widened. Shock filled her face. He moved closer, close enough that she could reach him if she tried. "If you need it," he said quietly. His voice shook, but he did not move away. "Take it." Silence. The wind blew softly around the broken ship. The alien girl stared at him like she did not understand. No one had ever offered. No one had ever trusted her kind. Lips trembled. She leaned closer. Daniel felt her cold breath against his skin. His heart felt like it would explode. He could feel the sharp edge of her fangs near his throat. One bite. That was all it would take. The entire colony would never know what happened. Her hand touched his shoulder. Cold. Weak. She paused. Her red eyes met his. For a long moment. Neither of them moved. Then her fangs lowered toward his skin, and the night held its breath. To be continued. The cold wind moved around the broken ship. Daniel did not move. The alien girl was so close now that he could feel her breath on his neck. Her fangs touched his skin. Sharp. Cold. His heart was beating so loud he was sure she could hear it. One bite. That was all it would take. But something strange happened. She stopped. Her body began to shake. Not from hunger. From struggle. Her eyes closed tightly, like she was fighting something inside her. Daniel stayed still. He did not pull away. He whispered, "It's okay." Her hand tightened on his shoulder. Her breathing became heavy. She was losing control. Her species was known across the galaxy for one thing. Once they started feeding, they never stopped. But she had not started. She was still fighting. Suddenly, she pulled back. Hard. She fell backward onto the cold ground. Her chest rose quickly as if she had just escaped something terrible. "No," she whispered weakly. Daniel quickly covered his neck again. He looked at her with confusion. "You said you needed blood." She turned her face away. "I do." "Then why stop?" Her red eyes looked at him again. There was no anger in them, only pain. "If I drink fully, you die." Her voice was dry, broken. Daniel slowly realized something important. She was not afraid of him. She was afraid of herself. The wind became stronger, making metal pieces shake around them. Daniel looked at her thin arms. Her body was weak. She had not eaten for many days. "Can you control it?" Daniel asked. She stayed silent for a long time. Then she nodded slightly. "A little." Daniel took a deep breath. He had made a choice already. He moved closer again. He pulled down his collar one more time, then take only a little. Her eyes widened again. "No human." She started. "I'm not most humans." Daniel replied softly. She studied his face, looking for fear, looking for tricks. She found neither. Slowly, carefully, she crawled closer. This time, her movements were controlled. Her hands gently held his shoulders. Not tight, not violent. Her lips touched his skin. Daniel closed his eyes. The bite came. Sharp pain. Quick. Not deep. He felt warmth leave his body. Not fast, not draining. Just a small pull. She was careful, very careful. After a few seconds, she pulled away. Her breathing was still heavy, but calmer now. Daniel touched his neck. There were 2 small marks. Blood, but not much. He felt weak, but alive. Very alive. The alien girl looked different. Now. Color slowly returned to her pale face. Her red eyes were brighter, but they were not wild. They were clear. "You stopped," Daniel said. She nodded. "I have not fed without killing before." Daniel blinked. "You mean?" "I always lost control," she whispered. Daniel felt a strange feeling in his chest. Not fear, something else. Pride. "You didn't this time." She looked at him carefully. "You trusted me." He gave a small smile. "Maybe I did." For the first time, her expression changed. Not hunger. Not pain. Confusion. "Why?" she asked. Daniel thought for a moment, because he did not know the full answer. Finally he said, "Because you asked." She lowered her eyes. "My kind does not ask." "Maybe. Your kind never had a choice." Silence again, but the silence was different. It was not dangerous. It was understanding. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed across the colony. Red lights flashed in the distance. Daniel turned quickly. Security sirens. Search drones lifted into the air. "They are scanning this sector," he said. The alien girl stiffened. They hunt me. How do you know? Because they always do. In the distance, bright lights began sweeping across the dark land. Daniel's mind moved fast. If security found her here, they would not talk. They would shoot. Can you stand? He asked. She tried. Her legs shook, but this time she did not fall. Small amount of blood had given her strength. Only for a short time. She said. Daniel grabbed her arm. Then we don't have long. The search drones were getting closer. Their mechanical buzzing filled the air. Come with me, Daniel, said. She hesitated. You will be punished. Maybe, he answered, but you'll be dead if you stay. Another bright light flashed near the crashed ship. They had seconds. She looked at him. One more time. This human who offered his neck, who did not scream, who did not run. She made her choice. She took his hand. Together, they ran into the shadows of the colony. Above them, searchlights crossed the sky. And for the first time in her life, a void vampire was not hunting. She was being protected. The sirens did not stop. Red warning. Lights flashed across the metal walls of the colony. Search drones moved like sharp insects in the sky, scanning every shadow. Daniel pulled her into a narrow maintenance tunnel behind them. Oxygen tanks. It was dark, quiet, tight. They both tried to slow their breathing. Outside, heavy boots hit the ground. Security teams. They are close, she whispered. Daniel looked at her. She looked stronger now. Not fully healed, but alive. You said they hunt you, he said quietly. Why? Her red eyes dimmed slightly. Because we are not supposed to exist. Daniel frowned. That doesn't answer the question. She hesitated. Then she spoke. My species is called the Nithra. Daniel repeated it softly. Nithra. In old records, she continued, we were protectors. We fed only when needed. We guarded deep space routes. We fought pirates. What changed? She looked away. War. Daniel stayed silent. Galactic war started 200 cycles ago. The Nithra were used as weapons. We were sent to enemy worlds. Ordered to drain cities. Her voice became colder. After the war ended, the galaxy needed someone to blame. So they blamed you, Daniel said. Yes. Outside, a searchlight passed over the tunnel entrance. Daniel held his breath. The light moved on. They labeled us monsters, she continued. Banned our travel, hunted our ships, destroyed our colonies. How many are left? Few. The word echoed in the small tunnel. Daniel felt something heavy in his chest. So you crashed here? He asked. She nodded. My ship was attacked near this system. I escaped in a small pod. It failed during landing. And you have been hiding since? Yes. Daniel thought about the drained animal. You didn't attack people. I stayed away, she said firmly. Human blood is stronger. It gives more energy, but it also awakens instincts. Daniel understood. If she drank from humans while starving, she would lose control, and the colony would be dead. Suddenly, footsteps stopped. Near the tunnel entrance, voices. I saw movement here. Daniel's body tensed. A security officer stepped into view. Flashlight raised. Check inside, another voice ordered. Daniel's mind raced. If they found her, they would not listen to her story. They would see red eyes and fangs. And shoot. The Nithra girl stepped forward slightly. Her eyes glowed brighter. Daniel grabbed her wrist. No, he whispered. I can defend, she replied quietly. How many can you fight? She did not answer. The flashlight beam moved closer. Closer. Daniel suddenly stood up and stepped out of the tunnel. Hey! He shouted, down here. The guards turned immediately. What are you doing outside sector lines? One officer demanded. Daniel tried to look calm. I was checking the oxygen pipes. You know they freeze at night. The officer narrowed his eyes. We're tracking an alien life form. Daniel shrugged lightly. Out here? In this cold? Nothing survives. Long outside. The officer studied him, then motioned to another guard. Scan the area. A small scanning device lit up blue dot. It swept across the ground. It stopped near the tunnel entrance. Daniel's heart almost stopped. The device beeped. Biological trace detected. The guard said. Daniel forced himself not to look behind him. Officer raised his weapon slightly. Move aside. Daniel did something no one expected. He stepped in front of the tunnel. There's nothing there. The officer's voice turned cold. Step aside, engineer. Daniel did not move. Behind him, inside the darkness, the Nithra girl listened. Her eyes watched him, a human, standing between her and guns. Last warning. The officer said. Daniel swallowed. If he moved, she would die. If he stayed, he could die. He made his choice. She's not your enemy, he said firmly. The guards froze. The officer's eyes sharpened. So you did see it? Daniel did not correct him. Yes. Where is it? He looked directly at the officer. Right behind me. Silence. The wind howled across the metal walls. The guards tightened their grip on their weapons. Inside the tunnel, the Nithra girl felt something new. Not hunger. Not fear. Something else. No species in the galaxy had ever stood in front of a Nithra. They stood behind walls, behind armies. But this human, he stood alone. The officer raised his weapon fully now. Move, or you will be charged with treason. Daniel's voice did not shake. If helping someone survive is treason, then fine. The scanner beeped louder. Inside the tunnel, the Nithra girl made a decision. She stepped out. Slowly. Red eyes glowing under the flashing emergency lights. The guards gasped. Weapons aimed instantly at her head. Daniel did not move. He did not step away. He stayed between her and the guns. She fed on you? The officer demanded. Daniel nodded once. And you are alive? Yes. The guards looked confused. That's impossible. One whispered. The Nithra girl spoke for the first time. I chose not to kill. The wind grew louder. The officer looked from her to Daniel and back. For the first time, the hunters were unsure. And in that small moment of doubt, the story of humans and the Nithra began to change. To be continued. The wind howled across the colony walls. Red lights flashed over metal floors. Security weapons were aimed directly at the Nithra girl. She stood still. No claws raised. No attack. No movement. Only her glowing red eyes. Daniel did not step away. Stood between her and the guns. The officer's voice was hard. Step aside, engineer. That creature is classified as a high-threat predator. Daniel answered calmly. She is not attacking. She fed on you. Yes, and you're still alive. Yes. The guards looked confused. The officer narrowed his eyes. Predators don't stop. Daniel shook his head. She did. Silence filled the air. The Nithra girl slowly lowered her gaze. I was starving, she said quietly. I could have killed him. One guard tightened his grip. Then why didn't you? She looked at Daniel. Because he offered. The words hit the air like something heavy. The officer frowned. Humans do not offer blood. Daniel gave a small, tired smile. Maybe we do. The scanner device beeped again. Her energy levels are rising, a guard reported. She's recovering. The officer's expression darkened. That makes her more dangerous. Daniel turned slightly, still shielding her. She stopped feeding even when she was dying. That matters. The officer stepped closer. You are defending a species that drained cities during the war. The Nithra girl's body stiffened. Daniel spoke before she could. She was not alive during that war. The officer hesitated. The guards exchanged looks. Orders are clear, the officer finally said. All Nithra are to be captured or eliminated. The word eliminated echoed coldly. The Nithra girl's eyes dimmed. She expected it. This was how every meeting ended. Fear, guns, death. Daniel. Tumble. Through that Idira girl's eyes dimmed. She expected it. This was how every meeting ended. Fear. Guns. Deferred coldly. It echoed coldly. The Nithra girl's eyes dimmed. Felt anger rise inside him. Captured for what? He demanded. For research? For experiments? The officer did not answer. That silence said enough. Suddenly, something changed. The Nithra girl stepped out from behind Daniel. He tried to stop her, but she gently moved past him. She raised her hands slowly. I surrender. The guards were shocked. You surrender? One whispered. Yes, she said calmly, but not to you. She turned to Daniel. Her red eyes were soft now. I surrender to the human who trusted me. Daniel's chest tightened. The officer grew impatient. This is over. Both of you are coming with us. Two guards stepped forward with energy cuffs. Daniel did not fight. The Nithra girl did not resist. As the cold metal cuffs locked around her wrists, she did not look at the guards. She looked at Daniel. You should not have risked yourself. She whispered. He walked beside her as they were escorted. Maybe, he replied, but you didn't kill me. That was difficult, she admitted. He gave a small laugh. Good to know. For the first time, her lips curved slightly, a very small smile. They were taken inside the colony detention sector. Cold. Metal walls. Bright white lights. The Nithra girl was placed inside an energy field cell. Daniel was held. Outside in questioning. The officer stood in front of him. Why? He asked again. Daniel answered simply. She was dying. And that makes her your responsibility? No, Daniel said quietly. It makes her alive. The officer stared at him. You understand what will happen to her? Daniel did not answer, because he already knew. In the cell, the Nithra girl sat quietly. She could hear everything. Her kind had sensitive hearing. She heard the officer's cold tone. She heard the word transport. She heard the word facility. She knew what those meant. Experiments. Extraction. Control. She closed her eyes. For centuries, her species had been feared, but no one had ever tried to understand them, except one human, outside the cell. Daniel suddenly spoke loudly. If she wanted to kill us, she already could have. The room went quiet. She was starving, he continued. And she still chose mercy. The Nithra girl opened her eyes. Mercy. No. One had used that word for her kind before. The officer looked uncertain now. You're risking your career for this. Daniel shrugged slightly. It's just a job. The Nithra girl slowly stood inside her cell. She walked closer to the energy barrier. Her red eyes met Daniel's through the light field. Something passed between them. Not hunger. Not fear. Trust. Trust was something the galaxy had never seen between humans and Nithra, but outside the colony walls, far above in orbita. Silent black ship observed everything, hidden from radar. Watching. And inside that ship, others of her kind were searching for her signal. The colony thought they had captured a monster. They did not know. They had just stepped into something much bigger. To be continued. The detention wing was silent, too silent. Daniel sat in a small metal room, hands resting on the cold table. The officer had left after hours of questioning. Cameras watched him from every corner, across the hall, inside the energy cell. The Nithra girl stood still, but something inside her was changing. Her body felt warmer. Stronger. The small amount of human blood she drank was doing something different. It was not just feeding her. It was reacting. Her heartbeat became steady. Her red eyes glowed brighter than before. She closed her eyes and focused. Then she felt it, pulse. Deep inside her blood, a signal. Far above the planet, hidden behind the moon's shadow, a black ship received that signal. Inside that ship, tall pale figures turned toward a glowing screen. She lives, one of them whispered, and she has fed. Another figure stepped forward, but on what? The signal data showed something unexpected. Human DN, markers. The room grew silent. That is impossible, the leader said slowly. Humans are deathworlders. Their blood is unstable to us. Yet the signal was clear. Not only had she survived human blood, it had amplified her energy. Back in the detention cell, the Nithra girl suddenly opened her eyes. She understood now. Human blood was not like other species. It was stronger. It carried resilience. Adaptation. It made her control sharper, clearer. Outside her cell, Daniel noticed the light field flicker slightly. He stood up. "Are you okay?" he called softly. She looked at him. "I can hear something," she said quietly. Before he could ask what she meant, the entire colony shook. A deep vibration moved through the metal walls. Alarms exploded across the facility. Unidentified vessel entering orbit. Someone shouted over the speakers. Security rushed through the halls. Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He looked at her. "You said your kind was hunted." She nodded slowly. "Yes." Another explosion echoed in the distance. The lights flickered. Defense shields failing. A voice yelled. Outside the colony, a massive black ship descended through the clouds. Silent, elegant, terrifying. The Nithra ship did not fire weapons randomly. It disabled power grids. Communication towers. Security systems. Precise. Controlled. Inside the detention wing, the officer ran back in. "Your friends?" he demanded angrily. The Nithra girl shook her head. "They are not my friends." The officer looked confused before he could speak again. The energy field around her cell shut down completely. The room went dark for 2 seconds. When the lights came back, she was standing outside the cell. Free. Guards rushed in with weapons raised. Daniel stepped in front of her without thinking. "Stop!" he shouted. The guards hesitated, but the officer did not. "Stand down, engineer." Suddenly, the wall behind them exploded inward. Cold night air rushed inside. Through the smoke, 3 tall Nithra warriors entered. Their eyes burned brighter than hers. Their presence felt heavier. Stronger. The guards froze. One warrior looked directly at the girl. "You survived." She nodded. Yes. They turned to Daniel. "And this human?" The room felt like it stopped breathing. Daniel did not move. The warrior stepped closer to him, scanning him. "You fed from him?" "Yes," she answered before Daniel could speak. "And he lives?" "Yes." The warrior's expression changed slightly. "Impossible." Daniel finally spoke. She stopped herself. The warriors looked at their own kind in silence. Then the leader asked her quietly, "Why?" The Nithra girl looked at Daniel. "He trusted me." Silence filled the broken room. The leader studied Daniel carefully. Then something unexpected happened. Leader lowered his weapon. To refuse full feeding while starving requires control. He looked at Daniel again. And for a human to offer blood willingly requires something else. The officer finally shouted, "Seize them all." But no one moved, because in that moment, the Nithra girl stepped forward and raised her hand. "Enough." Her voice was stronger now, clear. "We will not kill." The warriors looked surprised. "We came to retrieve you." "And I will return," she said, "but not as prey." She turned to Daniel. "He is under my protection." The guards stepped back slightly. The officer's confidence cracked. "You cannot make demands here." The Nithra leader answered calmly, "We already have." Above them, the black ship hovered like a shadow, weapons charged but not fired. Daniel looked at her. "So this is goodbye?" She hesitated. For the first time since he met her, her eyes showed uncertainty. "I do not know." The Nithra leader spoke quietly to her. "The galaxy will react to this. Human blood changing Nithra biology. This is not small." Daniel felt confused. "Changing?" he asked. She looked at him. "Your blood made me stronger without losing control." The leader finished the thought. "If this is true, humans are not prey. They are potential equals." The word hung in the air. For the first time, The galaxy's most feared species did not look at humans as food. They looked at them as something powerful. The Nithra girl stepped closer to Daniel. You gave more than blood, she said softly. You gave choice. Outside, the black ship's lights pulsed. The war between fear and understanding had just begun, and one human engineer had started it by offering his neckdot to be continued. The black Nithra ship hovered above the colony like a silent shadow. Defense cannons from the colony were locked onto it, but no one fired. Inside the broken detention wing, tension filled the air. Daniel stood beside the Nithra girl. Her warriors surrounded her, tall and calm, their red eyes glowing in the flashing emergency lights. The Nithra leader spoke quietly. We leave now. The officer stepped forward angrily. You will not take her without consequence. The leader turned his head slightly. You are alive because she chose mercy. The officer said nothing, because it was true. The Nithra girl looked at Daniel. If I leave, they may punish you. Daniel gave a small smile. They were already planning that. One of the warriors looked confused. Why defend prey? Daniel answered before she could. Because she isn't prey. The word echoed differently this time. Not weak, not afraid. Strong. The Nithra leader studied Daniel carefully. Then he did something no one expected. He removed the sharp blade from his belt and placed it on the floor, a sign of respect. My species has feared humans, the leader said slowly. We believed your blood was unstable, dangerous to us. The girl stepped closer to Daniel. It is not dangerous, she said. It is balanced, the leader nodded. It strengthens control. It calms the hunger. The room went silent. Officer's face turned pale. You're saying humans can? Yes, the leader interrupted. Humans can change us. Above the colony, more ships appeared in orbit. Not Nithra ships, Galactic Council ships. They had detected the signal. They had come to watch. To judge. Inside the detention wing, alarms changed tone. Council transmission incoming, a voice announced. Holographic figure appeared in the center of the room. Tall, robed, cold. A council representative. This colony is now under investigation, the hologram said. Nithra presence confirmed. Human interaction confirmed. The representatives. Glowing eyes moved toward Daniel. You fed a Nithra willingly? Yes, Daniel replied calmly. Why? He did not hesitate. She was dying. The hologram paused. Do you understand what this means? Daniel shrugged slightly. Someone needed help. The Nithra girl looked at him with something deeper than gratitude. The council representative turned toward her. Is it true? Human blood stabilizes your species? She answered clearly, yes. The hologram flickered. The council ships in orbit shifted position. Whispers began spreading across secure channels. If humans could calm Nithra hunger, then the entire balance of fear in the galaxy would change. The Nithra leader spoke again. For centuries, we were hunted because we could not control full starvation. He looked at Daniel. One human showed another way. The officer tried to speak. This is dangerous. Humans could be targeted for feeding. The Nithra girl's eyes glowed brighter. No Nithra will hunt humans. Her voice was strong now. Certain. I forbid it. The warriors behind her lowered their heads slightly. The council hologram observed everything. This changes political stability. It said, humans may become strategic assets. Daniel frowned. I'm not an asset. The girl stepped beside him. He is not a resource. The leader nodded. We will not allow exploitation. Silence followed. The galaxy had always seen Nithra as monsters. Now they were standing calmly. Controlled. Not attacking. Because of a human. The council representative finally spoke. A formal summit will be called. Then the hologram vanished. The alarms stopped. The room felt strangely quiet. The Nithra leader turned to the girl. You must return with us. The High Circle must study this. She looked at Daniel. If I leave, things will change. They already have, he replied. She stepped closer, very close. Close enough that he could feel her cool presence again. This bond between blood, it is not small. Daniel smiled slightly, I figured. One of the warriors activated a small device. A beam of light formed near the broken wall. Extraction transport. The Nithra leader looked at Daniel one last time. You are not prey, he said firmly. You are something new, the girl whispered softly to Daniel. When hunger comes again, I will remember control, he answered quietly, and I'll remember you didn't kill me. For a second, she almost smiled. Then the beam of light surrounded her. The warriors followed in a flash. They were gone. Outside, the black ship slowly rose into the sky. The council ships remained. Watching. Daniel stood alone in the broken room. Officers stared at him differently, now not with anger, with uncertainty. Across the galaxy, encrypted messages spread fast. Human blood stabilizes Nithra. Human offers neck willingly. Predator chooses mercy. A new sentence began appearing. In classified files, humans are not weak. And somewhere far above the planet, inside the Nithra flagship, the girl placed her hand over her chest. Her hunger was quiet, balanced. For the first time in her life, she was not ruled by instinct, because one human had offered trust instead of fear, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy did not stay quiet. Within days, every major system received the same report. Human blood stabilizes Nithra biology. Fear spread first. Then curiosity. Then politics. On Carthos 9, Daniel's life did not return to normal. Council investigators questioned him daily. Scientists requested samples. Military officers asked strategic questions. He gave them only one answer. She is not a weapon. Some listened. Most did not. Far away, inside the massive Nithra flagship, the girl stood before the high circle. The ruling elders of her species. Tall figures surrounded her. Their red eyes glowed in the dark chamber. You fed on a human. One elder said, yes, you stopped before death. Yes, explain. She spoke calmly. His blood did not awaken rage. It strengthened control. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Impossible, another elder whispered. It is. Truth, she replied. She stepped forward. For centuries we believed hunger was destiny. It is not. The high circle studied her. You suggest alliance? I suggest survival. Silence. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council called an emergency summit. For the first time in history, humans were invited to sit at the central table. Daniel did not expect to go, but he did. He stood inside the Grand Council chamber, surrounded by species that once feared both humans and Nithra. Whispers filled the room. That is him, the human who offered. He survived. Daniel felt small in that huge hall, but he stood straight. The chamber doors opened again. Nithra delegation entered, and she was with them. Their eyes met across the room. No hunger. No fear. Only recognition. The council speaker began. For centuries, Nithra have been hunted due to uncontrollable feeding behavior. New evidence suggests human interaction alters this biology. The chamber grew silent. The speaker turned to Daniel. Why did you offer your blood? Daniel answered simply. She asked. Soft laughter spread in disbelief. The speaker pressed. Further, you risked death. Yes, why? Daniel thought for a moment. Then said the words that would echo across the galaxy. Because fear never solved anything. Silence followed. The Nithra girl stepped forward. Our species was shaped by war, she said. We were turned into weapons, then blamed for it. She looked around the chamber. We do not ask for forgiveness. We ask for a chance to prove. Control. An older alien representative stood up. And what guarantees this control? She did not hesitate. Choice. Then she turned toward Daniel. He showed me that hunger is not stronger than will. The chamber shifted. This was not science. This was something deeper. The speaker finally made a proposal, a treaty. Gasps filled the room. A controlled exchange program between humans and Nithra. Voluntary only, medical supervision. Research monitored by the council. Some protested. This is madness. It is risk. The speaker raised his hand. It is evolution. The vote began. System after system. Lights turned green. Not all. But enough. The treaty passed. For the first time in history, the Nithra were no longer listed as extermination targets. They were recognized as a sovereign species. Hunting orders were lifted. Across multiple systems, Nithra survivors received the signal. The hunt is over. On the council floor, the Nithra girl stood beside Daniel. It began with you, she said quietly. He shook his head. It began with you not killing me. For the first time she smiled fully. Later, as the summit ended, reporters surrounded. Daniel, are humans not afraid? He answered honestly, of course we are. Then why take the risk? Daniel looked toward the Nithra delegation leaving the chamber. Because someone has to go first. Far above the capital world, Nithra and human ships floated in the same orbit. Not enemies. Not hunters. Not prey. Partners. In the following months, controlled programs began. Data confirmed what she had said. Human blood chemistry promoted neurological balance in Nithra under starvation stress. But something else was discovered too. Nithra biology enhanced certain human immune responses. It was mutual. Balanced. Not dominance. Not control. Evolution through trust. History books would later record this moment as the turning of hunger. And at the center of it all was not a soldier, not a politician, not a weapon, just a human engineer who offered his neck, and a dying alien girl who chose mercy. The galaxy stopped hunting that day, not because it was forced, but because one act of trust proved something powerful. Humanity's greatest strength was not violence. It was courage. And courage changed the stars.